Hello, this is sqlAli011 from zzNetworking.com. In our last tutorial video, we went over some simple select statements. I'd like to go over one more of those before we move into compound conditions. Now, go ahead and select all the columns from the customer table. Suppose we want to list the customer number, the customer name, the balance, and the credit limit of all our customers whose balance is greater than their credit limit. How would we do this? Well, we'd say select customer num, customer name, balance, credit limit, from the customer table where balance is greater than credit limit. And now we execute it and we see a list of all our customers, and you can confirm here that their balance is greater than their credit limit. Now let's move on to compound conditions. What is a compound condition? Suppose you want your search criteria to be based on two different expressions, two different conditions. Now what do I mean by that? Well, if we look at this graph here, this should give you a good idea of what a compound condition is, basically. When we use the AND operator to connect simple conditions, all the simple conditions must be true in order for the compound condition to be true. When we use the OR operator to connect simple conditions, the compound condition will be true whenever any one of the simple conditions is true. Now, in layman's terms, basically what that means is, suppose A, up here on the top of your screen, represents one condition, and B represents a second condition. If we use the AND operator to connect A and B, if A is true and B is true, then that row will result in true and will be displayed. If A is true and B is false, then that row will result in a false statement and will not be displayed. Conversely, if A is false and B is true, that row will result in a false statement and will not be displayed. And if both A and B are false, obviously that row will not be displayed because it did not meet the criteria for the AND condition. Now let's look at the OR condition. The OR operator is different. If expression A is true and expression B is true, that row will be displayed. However, if A is true and B is false, that row will still be displayed. If A is false and B is true, that row will be displayed. The only time an OR condition will not display a row is if both condition A and condition B are both false. Then that row will not be displayed. Now let's do some examples with that, so that way you can see what I mean by the AND and OR operator. Let's select all columns from the part table. Now suppose we want to find all the description of all the parts that are located in warehouse number 7 and have an on-hand value greater than 80. Now let's just look at this chart here. We see that there's 1, 2, 3 items that are stored in warehouse number 7. If we look over to their on-hand value, the first one has a value of 56, the second one has a value of 77, and the last one has a value of 88, which means if we use the AND condition, both our conditions have to be true for that row to be displayed. If we say it has to be in warehouse 7 and have an on-hand value greater than 80, only this last row will be displayed by this query. So let's select description from part where warehouse equals to 7 and on hand is greater than 80. The only thing that should be displayed by this query is a stool. Control Enter, and we get the description that says stool. Because both conditions were met for this row, that was the only row that was displayed. Now, let's try a similar example using the OR operator. We say select all columns from the part table so we can view our table. Suppose we want to display the description of all our items that are either in warehouse number 5 or are in warehouse number 9. That's the first and third row. Those two meet the following criteria: a stapler set and a mixing bowl. The stapler set is in warehouse number 9, and the mixing bowl is in warehouse number 5. So, let's select description from the part table where warehouse equals to 9 or warehouse, and you have to repeat the column name, equals to 5. Hit Control Enter, and we get the stapler set and the mixing bowl as our results. Now, there's one other operator we can use, and that's the NOT operator. So let's select all our columns from the part table. Suppose we want to find the description of all the items that are not in warehouse number 6. Since we have 4 items that are in warehouse number 6, and we have 9 rows for this table, we're going to get 5 results returned. How do we do this? We say select description from the part table where not, open parentheses, warehouse equals to, in single quotes, 6, and then close the parentheses. Control Enter, and we get 5 results. Those items are not in warehouse number 6. Now there's one more operator that you should be familiar with, and that's the between operator. Let's go back to our part table. I'm sorry, instead of that, let's go back to our customer table. Select all columns from customer. Suppose we want to find everybody whose balance is between, let's say, 1,500 and 2,000. We could do that in one of two ways. We could say select all columns. This is we want to view all the information from the customer table where balance is greater than or equal to, we decided 1,500, and balance is less than or equal to 2,000. Hit Control Enter, and we get the following condition. Now suppose we want to do it a different way. Well, the other way to do it, using the between operator, is to simply say where balance, let's take off this last part, where balance between 1,500 and 2,000. Hit Control Enter, and we get the same result. Customer number 613 fits the description for this. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.